Have you ever looked at your own birth certificate and felt something strange stir inside you, a quiet question rising from somewhere you cannot quite name? Why was I born on this exact day? Why this year? Why this family? Why this moment in the vast unfolding of time? Maybe you have felt, even just once, like you arrived on this earth carrying something invisible. A weight you cannot explain to anyone, not even to yourself. A pattern that keeps repeating in your life, no matter how many times you promise it will not happen again. You tell yourself, this time will be different. I have learned my lesson. I will not fall into the same relationship, the same fear, the same silence, the same heartbreak. And yet, quietly, almost mockingly, the same struggle returns. The same kind of person walks into your life. The same block stands exactly where it stood before, as if it has been waiting patiently for you to arrive again. You may have called this bad luck. You may have called it coincidence, or simply your personality, your fate, the way things always turn out for you. But somewhere beneath the surface, in the stillness before sleep or in the silence after a long day, you have sensed that there is more to this story than chance. What if your birth date is not just a number written on paper? What if it is a doorway, a soft and sacred echo of a journey your soul has been walking long before you ever took your first breath in this lifetime? Today, let us walk gently into this truth together, not with fear, but with the quiet, steady wisdom that reminds us, your soul did not arrive by accident. It arrived exactly on time. Let me tell you about a woman I will call Meera. Meera was kind in a way that made people feel instantly safe around her. She listened more than she spoke. She gave more than she asked for in return. She loved deeply, fully, without holding back, believing that love given honestly would always be met with the same honesty. But every relationship she entered seemed to follow the same quiet, painful pattern. She would give her time, her patience, her heart, and slowly, she would notice herself becoming smaller in the relationship while the other person took up more and more space. It happened with friends. It happened with partners. It even happened at work, where her efforts were quietly absorbed and rarely acknowledged. Late at night, staring at the ceiling in the silence of her room, she would ask herself the same aching question. What is wrong with me? Why does this keep happening, again and again, as if life is repeating a lesson I refuse to learn? But nothing was wrong with Meera. Something inside her was simply asking to be understood. This is the hidden problem so many of us carry silently, hidden behind our smiles and our daily routines. We feel pulled towards certain people, certain struggles, certain fears, as though we are following an old script we did not write ourselves, yet somehow already know by heart, word for word. We call it bad luck. We call it coincidence. We call it, this is just who I am, and I cannot change it. But quietly, in the depth of our being, in that soft space beneath our thoughts, we sense there is more to the story. This ache, this feeling of walking in circles, is not punishment. It is your soul, gently knocking on the door of your awareness, patiently asking, please, finally, see me. Yogananda often reminded seekers of a truth that the modern world, in its rush and noise, has quietly forgotten. The soul is eternal. It does not begin the moment you take your first breath, and it does not end the moment you take your last. It travels, much like a river moving through many different landscapes, carrying within it a little of every place it has passed through, every lesson it has touched, every love it has known. When a soul takes birth into a new body, spiritual teachings gently suggest that it does not enter the world by random chance. It enters at a moment, a precise and quiet moment, that resonates with its own inner vibration. That vibration is the sum of its past thoughts, its past choices, and the lessons it has not yet fully completed. In this understanding, your birth date is far less like a fixed prediction written in stone, and far more like a mirror held gently before you. It reflects the exact energy your soul was carrying at the very moment it stepped into this life, into this body, into this particular story. Now, Seen through the eyes of psychology, this same truth shows up in a different language, but it points to the same quiet reality. It shows up as patterns. The relationships we find ourselves drawn to, again and again. The fears we carry that we cannot fully explain with logic. The comfort we feel instantly around certain people, and the strange, unexplainable unease we feel around others, even before they have spoken a single word. This is not mysticism, separate from ordinary life. This is ordinary life, simply seen more deeply, with softer and more patient eyes. Modern psychology speaks of core wounds and repetition patterns we unconsciously recreate. Ancient wisdom speaks of karma, the memory carried by the soul. They are, in truth, two different languages pointing gently toward the very same understanding. We keep meeting the same lesson, dressed in different faces and different circumstances, until we finally learn it not with fear, but with love. Karma is one of the most beautiful and most misunderstood words in the spiritual language of humanity. So many of us have come to fear it, believing it means punishment, believing it means that some cosmic judge is keeping score of every mistake we have ever made, waiting patiently to make us pay. But this is not what karma truly means. Karma is simply memory. It is the memory of energy, carried gently by the soul across time. Every thought you have ever held, every action you have ever taken, every emotion you left unresolved and buried beneath the surface, leaves a quiet imprint on the soul, much like footprints left behind in wet sand along a quiet shore. Karma is not a court sentencing you to suffering. It is your own soul, speaking softly to you, reminding you, gently and without cruelty, of what still remains to be healed. Your birth date, in this light, carries within it an imprint of this deeper memory. Spiritually and numerologically, it reflects the very lessons your soul chose to walk through in this particular lifetime, lessons like patience, self-worth, forgiveness, courage, surrender, or the deep, unconditional practice of love. And what of destiny? Destiny, understood correctly, is not a fixed cage built to trap you. Yogananda often reminded sincere seekers that although certain patterns are indeed set into motion by karma from before, the soul always retains within it the sacred power of free will. Destiny may set the stage upon which your life unfolds. But how you choose to walk upon that stage, the choices you make in each unfolding moment, that remains entirely yours. Think of it this way. Karma may bring the same type of person back into your life once again, wearing a different face, speaking a different name. But you, and only you, decide whether you respond to them with the same old fear, or whether you finally respond with newfound wisdom. And it is precisely there, in that quiet moment of choice, that your true power gently lives. How do you know when karma, or an old pattern carried by the soul, is quietly speaking to you through the events of your daily life? There are gentle signs, if only we slow down enough to notice them. Sometimes you feel an instant, unexplainable connection with someone the very moment you meet them, as though you have always known them, even though this is truly the first time your paths have crossed. Other times, you feel an equally unexplainable discomfort around a stranger, a quiet unease with no clear reason behind it. Some souls, it seems, we recognize long before our conscious mind remembers why. You may notice that you keep facing the very same emotional lesson, appearing again and again in different disguises. Abandonment. Betrayal. The quiet ache of feeling unseen. The persistent feeling of not being enough, no matter how much you achieve or how hard you try. These lessons repeat themselves across different people, different cities, different chapters of your life, as if patiently waiting for you to finally understand them. You may also notice certain fears within you that feel far older than anything you have actually experienced in this current life. A fear of speaking your truth. A fear of trusting fully. A fear of being truly, deeply loved, with no clear memory of where this fear first began. And sometimes, you feel an unexplainable pull towards certain places, certain kinds of work, certain spiritual paths, almost as if you are remembering something ancient rather than discovering something new. Think of Arjun, a man who, since early childhood, always felt a deep, quiet responsibility to protect and guide the people around him. He never understood where this feeling came from, and for years, he carried it like a heavy, invisible burden. But one day, in the stillness of quiet meditation, he began to feel it differently. It was not a burden at all. It was simply a strength his soul had carried, gently refined, across many lifetimes. These signs are not meant to frighten you. They are quiet invitations, gentle nudges from your own soul, softly asking you to look inward, rather than outward, for the answers you have been seeking all along. So what do we do once we begin to understand this deeper truth about our own soul's journey? Yogananda's teaching was never meant to instill fear of karma within us. It was always about freedom, the kind of freedom that can only be found through honest, gentle awareness. Here is how you can walk this path, one soft step at a time. First, stop resisting the pattern, and instead, simply observe it. The next time an old wound quietly resurfaces in your life, pause for a moment before reacting. Ask yourself gently, what is this here to teach me, instead of asking, why does this keep happening to me? This small shift in the question you ask can change everything about how you experience the answer. Second, practice daily stillness, even if only for a few quiet minutes each day. Sitting in meditation, or simply breathing calmly and slowly, allows the soft whispers of your soul to gently rise above the constant noise of the mind. This is precisely how the ancient seekers, in their quiet caves and quiet hearts, learned to listen to their own inner truth. Third, choose to forgive, not for the sake of the other person, but for the freedom of your own soul. Unforgiveness is one of the heaviest weights that karma can carry. Releasing it does not mean forgetting what happened, or pretending it did not hurt you. It simply means you finally stop carrying someone else's actions inside the quiet space of your own heart. Fourth, respond to old fears with love rather than with judgment. When an old, familiar pattern rises up once again, meet it gently, with compassion for yourself. True healing does not come from punishing yourself for repeating a lesson you have not yet fully learned. It comes, quietly and patiently, from finally, truly understanding it. And finally, trust the timing of your own life, exactly as it is unfolding. Just as your birth date was never a random accident, neither is the timing of your struggles, nor the timing of your healing. Trust, gently and completely, that you are exactly where your soul's journey needs you to be, in this very moment. Here is the quiet truth that rests gently beneath everything we have spoken of today. You were not born by accident. You are not walking through this life by mere chance or coincidence. Every soul you have ever met, every struggle you have ever faced, every single date etched carefully onto your birth certificate, all of it is part of a much larger story that your soul has been quietly writing for a very, very long time, long before this lifetime began. Yogananda often reminded sincere seekers that behind all suffering, no matter how heavy or how confusing it may feel in the moment, there lies a hidden invitation to awaken. An invitation to remember, gently and completely, that we are not simply this body we see in the mirror, not simply this name we answer to, not simply this date of birth printed on paper. We are souls, wearing the temporary garment of a human life, walking patiently through joy and sorrow alike, slowly learning, lifetime after lifetime, to return fully to love. Your birth date, then, is not your limitation. It was never meant to confine you or define the boundaries of who you can become. It is your soul's quiet signature, a gentle reminder of where you have already been, and a soft, patient guide toward where you are truly meant to grow. The struggles you carry today, the ones that feel so heavy in this present moment, are not proof that you are broken beyond repair. They are proof, quiet and certain, that your soul is still, patiently and lovingly, becoming whole. And perhaps that is the most comforting truth of all. You are not falling behind in some invisible race. You are not failing simply because healing takes time. You are exactly where you need to be, held gently within a much larger unfolding, one that has always, and will always, be guiding you softly home. So today, before we part ways, I want to leave you with a gentle question to carry quietly into your reflective moments, long after this video has ended. If your soul chose this life, chose this exact date, chose this particular journey, what do you think it truly came here to learn? Sit with that question for a while. Let it breathe within you without rushing toward an answer. You do not need to solve it today or even this week. Sometimes, the most sacred truths reveal themselves slowly, gently, like dawn breaking softly over still, quiet water, in its own perfect time. If something in this message touched a quiet place inside your heart today, I invite you, gently and warmly, to subscribe to this channel, so that we may continue walking this path of reflection and awakening together, one video at a time. And if you feel comfortable, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, honestly and openly, which part of today's message spoke to you the most. Was it the story of Meera, the deeper meaning behind karma, or perhaps the quiet signs your own soul has been showing you lately? Sharing your reflection not only helps me understand you better, it may also gently help another sincere soul reading the comments, who needed to hear exactly what you have to say. I would also love to know, what would you like us to explore together in our next journey? Is there a spiritual question sitting quietly in your heart, waiting to be understood more deeply? Tell me in the comments, and we will walk that path together in a future video. And if you feel that someone in your life needs to hear this message today, consider sharing it with them, gently, with love, and without expectation. Until we meet again on this path, may you walk forward with peace, awareness, and quiet courage. Jai Guru Dev.